Hello, doves. Well, it happened. I was wrong. It has been a hot minute since I hopped on the internet to talk, and that's because my life offline got really busy over the last couple of weeks. I did multiple videos on Bridgerton and then kind of pieced out to live life a little bit. And as is always the way, the moment I fell out of the rhythm of filming and writing and thinking and trying to collect my thoughts together, like trying to get back on the bandwagon has been stressful. Like, what am I supposed to do for that hashtag content, I ask you? The universe has answered that question, because today, as I was walking back from the post office, I was scrolling through my phone, as we are all wont to do in this dystopian hellscape in which we find ourselves, and I saw that the Bridgerton season 5 announcement has come out. It's not Eloise. It's Francesca. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had to unpick some feelings about this, and I've had to question myself, and I've had to try and think about what I think the showrunners are doing here, and I needed somewhere to put my feelings. Welcome back. I love you guys. I've missed you. Okay, so having watched the teaser trailer, which Netflix put out, it looks beautiful. What do I think? Number one, let's be clear, I am so here for the Sapphic love story. I am ready for it. I am excited for it. I'm glad that Bridgerton is making people like do the gender bend. I also think that the actresses that we have, my God, face cards will never decline. What a pair of baddies. And we get to see these two beautiful women fall in love with each other. Like, truly we are blessed. I joked in an Instagram story, I think, that like, even if I didn't get Eloise next, I would get a beautiful Sapphic love story with beautiful Sapphic women. So even if I lost, I won. Even though, yes, I still have some Eloise feelings, which I need to work through. We'll get there, okay? Just be patient with me. I'm out of practice. Sapphic love story, absolute baddies. We win. Another kind of love story. Again, I'm on record with this. I like that Bridgerton is showing us different kinds of love. And different kind of love stories, and how romance looks different for different people and different characters in different settings and setups. I think that is a good and healthy thing to show to an audience. Not that I think Bridgerton is trying to teach its audience any life lessons, but as with all things art, we, the audience, can and should glean a few moments of catharsis from everything that we've seen. We've seen passionate love, we've seen quiet love, we've seen lost love, we've seen late life love, and now we're going to see queer love in a queer relationship. We've had queer relationships on the show before. Benedict is bisexual. Just because he ended up married to a woman does not mean he ain't. Like, him and Ilya Rozanov, like, showing us the duality. Like, people, pay attention. We've seen other non-main characters be in queer relationships with one another. And in fact, like, being friends with a gay man is how Benedict had his horizons expanded, but we're going to get an actual queer love story. And as per all my other rants, I am excited to see how this world, in its alternative historical setting, its fantastical historical setting, but not its gender norms neutral setting. I'm curious to see how they're going to do this. I've said it before, patriarchy is still a thing in this show. Male primogeniture of inheritance is still a thing in this show, and traditional gender roles are still a thing in this show, because ultimately this is still a historical romance drama, and quote unquote traditional gender roles tend to play a role in those things. This isn't an alternative version of history for queerness, it's an alternative historical romance when it comes to color and a multi-ethnic society, but they haven't remade gender roles. So how does a show like Bridgerton, where things like heterosexual marriage and partnership and childbearing and inheritance, how is that going to work with two women falling in love? I'm excited to see it. For those of you who don't know, The inheritance laws of Scotland are a little bit different from the inheritance laws of England, and women in Scotland can inherit titles in ways that they can't always inherit here in England. The United Kingdom is several countries united, and they have their own histories, they have their own laws. In Scotland, women can inherit some titles, and I suspect, though we don't know, that this next season of Bridgerton is going to use the basis of the book storyline, where in the books, Michael, a male relative, inherits the Kilmartin title. He becomes the next Earl of Kilmartin. And Francesca, as the late Earl's widowed countess, will theoretically be moved aside in that sense. Remember, we saw how this worked a little bit in the Bridgerton family when Edmund, the long dead patriarch of the family, died, and almost immediately Violet, who is having an understandable breakdown on the floor, and Antony is watching all of this, and the servants are asking him, oh, do we need to move her mother out of her room because she's no longer the Viscountess. She's the Dowager Viscountess. Francesca is now kind of technically, I think, the Dowager Countess of Kilmartin. Not sure if Michael / Michaela would have to remarry for the whole Dowager title to come fully into play here. I'd need to check my Debrets for that. But functionally, Francesca is set to lose her status as the current Countess of Kilmartin with the passing of her husband. We've already seen in season 4, very beautifully portrayed by Hannah Dodd. Again, her acting has been fantastic. That she feels the loss of her role, her job. In losing her husband, she felt a huge amount of guilt for having not given him children, because that was her job as the Countess of Kilmartin. I'm curious to see how the show explores what it could mean then to lose not the title, but the role as the current and acting Countess. And I'm also curious to see how, if Michaela, as opposed to Michael, is poised to become the next Countess of Kilmartin in her own right, what that looks like, how that relationship gets navigated. Obviously, queer marriage isn't a thing in this world, as we have seen in previous seasons through Benedict exploring kind of the hidden side of queer London. You know, hetero marriage is still the way this world works. So what's it gonna look like if there's a Countess of Kilmartin partnered to a Countess of Kilmartin? I would like to see it. Okay, that could be really cool. Let's just face facts. Other things that I think are good and like really crucially build on some of the groundwork laid in season 4. I said in one of my previous videos that the world building has been expanded recently, and I think season 4 did a really good job of that, quite literally getting us outside of London to Benedict's country estate. We've previously seen the Bridgerton family's country house, but you know, there is a world outside of the Bridgerton nuclear family and their properties. And season 4 opened the door for that. And I suspect in season 5, if the trailer is anything to go by, or not even the trailer, the teaser, we're gonna see Scotland in this world, which I think could be really cool. I think I also said in my last video that both Francesca and Eloise's stories take place largely outside of London. So the fact that season 4 laid the groundwork for the world building expansion, you know, into the servants' lives, into the downstairs, into the geography. Okay, I can accept that this is probably a really good evolution of that. And I'm curious to see what Scotland is going to look like in the Shondaland version of the Bridgerton world. We all know how I feel about textiles at this point, so I'm personally hoping that they do some absolutely gorgeous takes on tweed and tartan. That was a really good alliteration on my part. Good job, C. Okay. So, have I talked myself into being excited about season 5? Okay, let's be clear. I'm excited about season 5. I like Bridgerton. I like romance. I like historical romance. It's not without its risks, though. As I have pontificated at length at this point, I think the show has set Eloise up with more character development at this point. All the credit to Hannah Dodd. I think she did some beautiful acting in season 4, and I think the show in season 4, again, did some of the best work as an ensemble show to give Francesca's character development. We saw her in her marriage. We saw her going through her own self-discovery journey, having to do with sensuality and sexuality. We saw her, you know, trying to settle into her role as the Countess. Like, she's been given runway. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not, but Eloise has been given, in my opinion, like the best and most consistent character development of anyone in the show. Put a pin in that. Which is to say that I think one of the potential risks for season 5 is repeating the errors of season 3, where, in my opinion, the show had not done enough lead up, run up, and world building and narrative building to the couple that it then featured. I don't think the setup for Penelope and Colin was as strong as it could have been, and certainly wasn't as strong as, say, the setup from season 1 for Anthony in season 2 was. I'm on record, I thought that the writing of the show in season 2 was setting Benedict up to be the lead of season 3 more successfully, and I still stand by that. Even though, again, I think season 4 was great, and their leads, the design, again, go watch my other videos. I'll link them somewhere for you, should you wish to do so. I think season 4 got the show back on track after making some odd choices for season 3 that I thought kind of derailed the show a bit. I am worried that season 5 could repeat those mistakes, in the sense that it could be putting a couple forward that it hasn't maybe done enough groundwork laying for. But I do feel as though we got a sense of Franny's character. We get a sense of the attraction between her and Michaela. So it's not no runway. You know, I have to acknowledge that, but that's the biggest risk that I see with this, that they haven't done enough to set the audience up for this couple, and so their story might feel disjointed, or it might feel too detached from the rest of the Bridgerton narrative. I don't know, there are some risks here. There are some risks here in repeating the needle scratch elements of season 3 that I hope the show doesn't do. All in all though, when I tally it up, like, there's more pros than negatives here, right? Like, I have to admit that. Like, I can talk myself into being really, really excited for the next season, even though I still believe that the writing of the show, the pacing of it, has set Eloise up more to be the next main. So by pushing that back, is that going to disrupt, for someone like me, an audience member like me, the narrative flow of the greater world? We shall see. All of this being said though, I think I see what they're doing. I think I see what the show is doing. Like I said, season 4 literally expanded the geography of the world, so okay, let's go to Scotland next. I get it. If they're going to keep Eloise's storyline kind of on par with the books, I can also see how she could be set up to be the side quest or a side character in season 5 in a way that would make narrative sense. For those who don't know, her relationship with her romantic lead, Sir Philip Crane, starts through correspondence. So them starting up a correspondence at some point in season 5, okay, I could see that. But again, one of the original sins of Bridgerton for me was screwing with the timeline and making Colin and Penelope the leads of season 3. And one of the side effects of that, in my opinion, is now we've gone from Francesca getting quite a bit of her own character development in season 5, but then also us, the audience, seeing her and her husband, and then suddenly, spoilers for those who haven't seen it at this point, losing her husband, all in kind of rapid succession. We got the first part of Francesca's story very, very truncated in a lot of ways. And I think the show did an okay job of packing their Francesca's relationship with John into one season of TV. But it means that from the point of view of the audience, we're going to go from seeing her lose her husband and be very, very traumatized and sad to recovering very quickly. And I'm not sure how the show's going to navigate that in a satisfying way. It kind of feels a little bit rushed for me in the sense that I feel like we need to see Francesca grieve. And not just because I want to see it, but again, because the show, in my opinion, did a really good job of establishing a very quiet but loving and successful relationship between John and Franny. And for her then to go from losing her husband to discovering a whole new aspect of her sexuality and jumping into a new relationship feels kind of forced to me. Whereas if, for instance, Benedict had been the lead of season 3, Colin and Penelope had been the leads of season 4, both Eloise and Francesca's narratives would have a bit more time to breathe and develop. Does that make sense? I don't think I'm explaining myself as well as I would wish because I don't write scripts, but I feel as though in spite of some much better ensemble narrative story writing in season 4, Francesca's being a little bit rushed for her storyline. On the flip side, to argue with myself, I kind of think I understand what the show is doing with Elle's character a bit better the more that I think about it. And having done my previous videos and now just reacting to the season 5 teaser, in so many ways, Elle is acting as the point of view character for we, the audience, in a way that I don't think I appreciated how explicit that was being until I really kind of had to sit with my feelings about her, in my opinion, being set up to be the main and being pushed off to the side again. She is kind of a proxy for the audience. She is the most modern in her sensibilities. She is, overtly feminist in a way that we modern readers and viewers can recognize, but would be very, very out of step with this time. She is loud about it, and that is not a criticism because there were women like that at this time, but she is in so many ways out of step and a little bit out of time with the rest of the world. And I think, again, this kind of makes her an audience insert in some ways. She is a witness to all of the other relationships that we've seen so far. And her character development, again, has been the most consistent. She has been a active supporting side character in every single season thus far. In season 1 and season 2, she literally served as a foil to Daphne, both for us, the audience, and for other members of her family. She obviously is Penn's best friend, making her a key element of season 3. She's Benedict's closest sibling, meaning that it kind of makes sense that, she supports him throughout his journey on the way to season 4. I'm curious to see how she is or is not going to engage with Franny's story in season 5. The more that I think about it, the more I am coming to the conclusion that Eloise is serving, again, as an audience insert. It makes sense in some ways, I have to grudgingly admit, to put her story later, because in the books, she gets married later. She is on the shelf by the time she chooses to pursue marriage, and she goes about it in her own kind of independent and interesting way. And again, I think season 4 did some really good groundwork laying for her eventual opening up to the idea that romance, whatever it looks like, for many people can be a prison, which is how she viewed it at the outset. But by witnessing the different kinds of relationships that surround her and that her family creates, she comes to understand that it can actually be very satisfying and good, and it's an okay thing to want. That's an interesting journey. And again, making her a point of view or an audience insert character, I think is really smart in that regard. Just as we, the audience, get to witness different kinds of relationship, whether it's Violet and Edmund having a very traditional marriage in this world, but that is critically a love match, and one that brought Violet extreme joy and happiness, and therefore set her up to want to push her children towards the same thing because that's what she understands happiness to be. Or watching Daphne, again, go down a similar traditional route, but having, her own challenges of how to navigate the world of high society. Daphne, don't forget, is the Bridgerton sibling that ends up like the highest on the social totem pole of this world. Like being a duke and a duchess, that is one rank below royalty in the world of British aristocracy. It's substantial. And her season does a good job of navigating the realities of that. Antony's season does a good job of navigating what duty to family means in this world, and how do you balance marrying for love and affection and also performing the duties and responsibilities you have to your family. Both Kate and Antony show different sides of that coin from the male and the female perspective. Colin and Penn, sorry, just don't like season 3, but Colin and Penn show, again, the friends to lovers trope. They show how long-standing relationships or one-sided affection can evolve into something more. Through that, Eloise also sees how Penelope has developed her own business and her own persona, and because she partnered well, she is able to continue, at least for a time, pursuing her own pursuits. That was terribly worded. Pursuing her own goals and able to earn money in her own right and to have a voice in her own right, something that Elle really, really values and prizes. And she also sees her brother supporting her friend in that. Pretty cool. Most recently with Benedict, not like Antony's having to deal with duty, but Benedict is still having to deal with propriety in this world. And how do you have or structure a relationship with someone who society has told you you can't be with or can't have? How do you balance your artistic goals and temperaments, or, the more chaotic sides of your personality, the literal romanticism, with something that is more grounded and real? And seeing how Sophie and Benedict, again, complement each other in really, really good ways. Eloise has been an explicit witness to all of this through every season and has had really, really great supporting cast energy for each of those. Even the side quests in season 4, again, being contrasted quite a bit with Hyacinth and her goals and getting called out for being a little bit selfish or narrow-minded in her views. For all of these reasons, I feel like Elle has had the most character development and the most runway set up. So while I remain nervous about season 5 being about Francesca and Michaela, I also have to admit, beautiful Sapphic love story. We stay winning. On the whole, I'm fine with it. I still wanted it to be Eloise, but that's because I really love Eloise's story. I am a biased observer. I can't help it. Initially, I got really excited when I saw the announcement because I went, oh my God, they're already in production. Fantastic. Does this mean we're actually going to get season 5 sooner? And let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. I actually went back and I checked the dates and the announcements and the production timelines. I wrote it down. Hold on. So season 4 was announced in July 2024. Filming began in September 2024 and ended in June 2025, so about 9 months. And then there was approximately, I assume, about 6 months of post-production to release in January of 2026. So 18 months start to finish. So far, the timing of the announcements are very much closely aligned with the timing of the announcement of season 4 compared to season 3. So until we get production updates, I'm not letting myself get too excited. I continue to think we need to keep our feet on Netflix's necks, because it should not, in my opinion, take as long as it does, particularly if they're already in pre-production now. I'm hopeful that, you know, Shondaland has a robust writer's room. I'm hoping they get this time frame down. I really am, because I don't think we should wait 18 months to 2 years. I just don't. I stand by that. I also think there's reasons to be hopeful that we won't. Number one, if the show takes place more outside of London, again, as the teaser is indicating it might, London can be more difficult to produce in. I think the show is filmed in parts of London and also parts of Bath, where a lot of period films are shot. But if you get out to more non-standard locations, maybe that will make filming easier or different. Also, if we move away from London, we might not get as many, I don't know, ballroom scenes, society scenes, Queen Charlotte scenes, which, let's be clear, could be devastating in other ways. But maybe that will mean different kinds of costuming requirements that won't be as labor intensive. I don't know. I'm quite literally, all we have is like a 30-second teaser at this point, and I can clearly, you know, ramble for half an hour about it. So what do I know? But I am heartened to get the announcement so quickly, and I am choosing to be hopeful that production will not take as long for season 5. Although, until we actually get production updates or we get premiere teasers, I can't get too excited. In the meantime, I think we should be making as much noise as possible. Netflix, please, for the love of God, either give us the binge drop or give us the weekly drop. Don't do the split. Please just don't do the split. It's so frustrating. So those are my thoughts about the teaser of Bridgerton season 5. Happy to be back to filming again. Please let me know what you would like to see next, if anything. I've been trying to keep up with all things pop culture. I am overdue for a book report. I know that will be coming up here at the end of the month. Don't worry, I'm a slacker, but I will get back on track about that. And I haven't done a raw vlog in a while. So I might do one of those on my current thoughts and habits around things like consumption, because I got a bag full of beauty empties and a head full of thoughts, baby. But yeah, it's good to be back to filming. If you've seen the Bridgerton teaser, are you excited? What do you think about the Sapphic love story? Are you as excited as I am for our baddie leads? Do you share my frustrations that it's not Eloise? Can you be talked into the fact that she's not the lead the way I am semi-giving myself? What are your thoughts? Let me know. I like hanging out with you in the comments.